Have you ever stopped to consider the invisible threads that weave the fabric of your existence? The silent architects shaping your present and meticulously crafting your future? It's a question that gnaws at the edges of our consciousness, a persistent whisper wondering why some individuals seem to effortlessly manifest their dreams, while others remain perpetually trapped in cycles of unfulfilled potential. This isn't merely a philosophical musing. It's a profound human dilemma that resonates with an almost universal ache, a deep-seated frustration stemming from the chasm between our aspirations and our lived realities. We chase external achievements, new jobs, better relationships, more money, believing that these will finally unlock the door to the life we envision, only to find ourselves returning to the same internal landscapes of doubt and limitation. Why do we, despite our best intentions and tireless efforts, often find ourselves stumbling over the same internal hurdles, caught in a loop of self-sabotage and unrealized dreams? It's a paradox of modern existence. We are inundated with information, self-help gurus, and motivational speeches, yet the fundamental struggle to bridge the gap between who we are and who we wish to become persists with unwavering tenacity. This pervasive struggle, this constant seeking for a deeper understanding of our own agency, became the very obsession that drove Shubham Kumar Singh. He wasn't content with surface-level advice or fleeting inspiration. He embarked on a relentless quest to decode the intricate mechanisms by which our inner world dictates our outer experiences, to unearth the undeniable truth that we literally become what we think. Our journey today is to unravel profound insights he painstakingly assembled, to trace the evolution of a radical idea that promises to transform not just our perspective, but the very trajectory of our lives. Before Shubham Kumar Singh arrived at his groundbreaking conclusions, his life, much like many of ours, was characterized by a profound disconnect between his internal aspirations and his external circumstances. He was a keen observer of human behavior and potential, yet he found himself wrestling with his own personal and professional stagnation. Despite possessing intelligence and ambition, he experienced periods of profound self-doubt, missed opportunities, and the nagging feeling that he was capable of so much more. This wasn't a sudden, dramatic crisis, but rather a slow, insidious erosion of self-belief, a subtle but persistent undercurrent of frustration that permeated his daily life. He witnessed friends and colleagues achieve milestones that seemed perpetually out of his reach, not because of a lack of talent or effort on his part, but because of an invisible barrier he couldn't quite identify or dismantle. This period of his life was marked by a relentless internal dialogue of "if only" and "I can't," a self-imposed prison built from limiting beliefs and fear-driven narratives. He saw how this pattern played out in the lives of others too. Brilliant minds held back by imposter syndrome, talented artists crippled by perfectionism, and ambitious entrepreneurs paralyzed by the fear of failure. He recognized that the external world was merely a reflection, an echo chamber of the internal one. This realization sparked an intense period of introspection and rigorous study. He devoured texts on psychology, philosophy, neuroscience, and spirituality, searching for a unifying theory, a master key that could unlock the secrets of human potential. He wasn't just observing the problem. He was living it, experiencing firsthand the debilitating effects of an untrained, undirected mind. His own personal before state was one of searching, of feeling the weight of untapped potential, and of an unshakable conviction that there had to be a more deliberate, more powerful way to consciously shape one's destiny. This deep personal struggle wasn't a weakness. It was a crucible that forged his resolve, igniting a fervent desire to not only liberate himself, but to illuminate a path for countless others trapped in similar mental mazes. It was this intense, lived experience of frustration and yearning that transformed a curious observer into a dedicated seeker, driven by an unyielding need to understand the fundamental laws governing thought and creation. He understood that the stakes were nothing less than the reclamation of our innate power to design a life of purpose and fulfillment. The first major breakthrough in Shubham Kumar Singh's quest was a profound realization of the sheer potency of thought itself, not merely as fleeting mental activity, but as a tangible, creative force. He discovered that our thoughts aren't just passive reflections of reality. They are active architects, constantly constructing our perceived world and influencing the very fabric of our experiences. This wasn't a philosophical abstraction for him. It was a deeply empirical insight derived from observing countless individuals, including himself, and their trajectories. He recounted the story of an acquaintance, a brilliant programmer who, despite his technical prowess, consistently found himself in unsatisfying, dead-end jobs. The programmer would often lament his lack of opportunities, convinced that the industry was rigged against him, or that he simply wasn't lucky enough to land a prestigious role. Singh observed that this individual's internal monologue was a constant stream of negativity regarding his career prospects, focusing entirely on what he didn't have and what he couldn't achieve. He saw how this persistent thought pattern created a self-fulfilling prophecy, attracting and reinforcing experiences that validated his limiting beliefs. The programmer wasn't actively looking for new opportunities with an open mind. He was subconsciously seeking evidence to confirm his conviction that good jobs were scarce and out of his reach. This led him to overlook viable prospects, misinterpret feedback, and even self-sabotage interviews, all in alignment with his dominant thought patterns. Conversely, Singh studied individuals who, despite facing significant obstacles, maintained an unwavering belief in their ability to succeed. He recalled the story of a fledgling entrepreneur who, after multiple business failures, refused to succumb to despair. Instead, her thoughts were consistently focused on problem-solving, learning from mistakes, and visualizing her ultimate success. She didn't ignore reality, but she chose to focus her mental energy on potential solutions and desired outcomes, rather than dwelling on past failures. This positive mental architecture didn't magically erase challenges, but enabled her to identify opportunities where others saw only roadblocks. She attracted mentors, found innovative solutions, and maintained the resilience necessary to persevere through setbacks. Singh concluded that the key wasn't simply positive thinking in a superficial sense, but rather the deliberate cultivation of empowering thought patterns that align with one's desired reality. He realized that the brain, in its incredible plasticity, constantly molds itself to the narratives we feed it. If we persistently think thoughts of lack, limitation, or failure, our neural pathways strengthen those connections, making it easier to continue those patterns and harder to break free. Conversely, by consciously directing our thoughts towards possibilities, abundance, and success, we literally rewire our brains to perceive and attract those very experiences. It became clear to him that the universal question of why some succeed and others struggle had its roots not in external circumstances, but in the unseen yet profoundly powerful architecture of our own minds. Our dominant thoughts aren't just ideas. They are blueprints for our future, constantly being enacted in the present. This initial discovery laid the foundational stone. The mind is not merely a receiver of reality, but an active projector, capable of shaping the very reality it perceives. However, Singh soon discovered that simply understanding the power of thought, while revolutionary, wasn't a complete picture. Many individuals, even after grasping the concept, found themselves struggling to consistently apply it, falling back into old patterns despite their best efforts. This led him to a deeper, more nuanced truth: the critical role of emotion in amplifying and solidifying our thoughts. He observed that a thought, however powerful, remained somewhat ethereal until it was infused with emotional resonance. It was a feeling, the visceral experience accompanying a thought, that gave it weight, momentum, and ultimately, the power to manifest. He encountered a case of a young aspiring writer who, after learning about the power of positive thinking, diligently wrote down affirmations and visualized her success. Yet, despite these conscious efforts, she couldn't break through her writer's block or attract the publishing opportunities she craved. Singh delved deeper, and through their conversations, he uncovered profound emotional disconnect. While she consciously thought about success, deep down, she harbored intense feelings of fear, inadequacy, and a nagging sense that she wasn't good enough. Her conscious thoughts were of aspiration, but her subconscious emotional landscape was dominated by dread and self-doubt. These powerful, underlying emotions were like anchors, holding her back, neutralizing the positive momentum of her conscious thoughts. He realized that it wasn't enough to simply think positive thoughts. One had to feel positive emotions that were in alignment with those thoughts. This wasn't about suppressing negative emotions, but about learning to acknowledge them and then deliberately shift one's emotional state. He introduced the concept of emotional vibrations, explaining that our emotions emit a specific frequency, and like a radio, we attract experiences that resonate with that frequency. If the writer consistently felt fear and inadequacy, she would continue to attract experiences that mirrored those emotions, regardless of her surface-level positive affirmations. Another compelling example came from a businessman struggling with financial scarcity. He had intellectually understood the principles of abundance, but his daily life was riddled with anxiety about bills, fear of loss, and a pervasive sense of not having enough. These feelings, Singh observed, were a stronger signal than any intellectual understanding of abundance. Until the businessman learned to cultivate feelings of gratitude for what he did have, and trust in his ability to create more, his financial situation remained stagnant. This deeper insight revealed that true transformation required a harmonious alignment between thought and feeling. The mind proposes, but the heart disposes. Emotions, Singh concluded, are the fuel that propels our thoughts into reality. Without the powerful, congruent emotional energy, even the most profound thoughts remain inert, lacking the vital spark necessary for creation. This principle wasn't a replacement for first, but an essential amplification, adding a crucial layer of depth to the understanding of how we truly become what we think, emphasizing that it's not just what we think, but how we feel about what we think that hold the ultimate power. This journey through the intricate landscape of thought and emotion led Shubham Kumar Singh to a profound, unifying aha moment, a grand synthesis that wove together all his discoveries into a single, cohesive theory, the concept of conscious alignment. He realized that the true power to shape our future lay not just in thinking positive thoughts, or even in feeling positive emotions in isolation, but in the deliberate and consistent alignment of our thoughts, emotions, and ultimately our actions toward a singular, desired outcome. It was a harmonious resonance across all three dimensions of our being that created an unstoppable force of manifestation. This was a simplistic formula. It was a sophisticated understanding of our energetic ecosystem. Singh articulated that most people operate in a state of unconscious misalignment. They might intellectually desire success thought, but subconsciously harbor fears of failure emotion, leading to procrastination or self-sabotaging behaviors action. This internal discord creates static, preventing the clear signal needed to attract and create their desired reality. The aha was a realization that when thought, emotion, and action are consciously directed in unison towards a specific vision, the universe responds with an almost uncanny precision. He illustrated this with a vivid example of a young woman who dreamed of becoming a successful artist. Initially, her thoughts were of grandeur, but her emotions were plagued by comparison and self-doubt, leading her to spend more time scrolling social media than actually painting. This was misalignment. Through Singh's guidance, she began to consciously align. She didn't just think about being an artist. She started to feel the joy and passion of creation, cultivating gratitude for her current skills, however nascent. Crucially, her actions began to shift. She dedicated consistent time to her craft, even when inspiration was low, treating her art as a sacred practice rather than a distant dream. This integrated approach, where her beliefs, feelings, and daily habits were all pulling in the same direction, created an undeniable magnetic force. Opportunities that seemed impossible before, gallery showings, commissions, mentorships, began to appear not out of luck, but as a direct consequence of her aligned energetic state. This grand synthesis fundamentally reframed the original problem. It's not that we lack the power to manifest, but that we often scatter our power through internal inconsistencies. The unifying idea, therefore, is that we are not passive recipients of fate, but active co-creators of our reality, armed with the incredible capacity to orchestrate our inner world, our thoughts and emotions, to deliberately sculpt our outer experiences. The universe, Singh concluded, is not a capricious force, but a mirror reflecting back to us the precise energetic signature we project through our conscious alignment. This integrated understanding is the ultimate payoff, the blueprint for true self-mastery. So, where does this profound journey of discovery leave us? We've traced Shubham Kumar Singh's path from a universal question of unfulfilled potential to the powerful realization that our thoughts are blueprints, our emotions are the fuel, and their conscious alignment is the master key to shaping our destiny. We've seen how he meticulously pieced together the puzzle, moving from the sheer power of thought to the amplifying force of emotion, and finally to the grand synthesis of conscious alignment, the unified theory that we literally become what we think, feel, and consistently act upon. This isn't just theory. It's a practical, actionable blueprint for transformation. The insights from you become what you think aren't merely intellectual curiosities. They are call to arms, an invitation to reclaim your inherent power. The blueprint is clear. First, become acutely aware of your dominant thoughts, the narratives you replay in your mind. Second, cultivate emotions that are congruent with your desires, consciously shifting from states of fear and scarcity to gratitude and possibility. Third, and critically, align your daily actions with these newly empowered thoughts and emotions, moving deliberately towards your vision. Understanding is a critical first step, but true change, true manifestation, demands disciplined action, a consistent commitment to orchestrating your inner world. You have the power to break free from old patterns, to rewrite your story, and to manifest a life you've always envisioned. The only question that remains is, are you ready to commit to this profound journey of self-mastery? Are you ready to consciously shape the magnificent future that awaits you? If so, join a community dedicated to this very transformation. Subscribe to this channel and become an active participant in designing your most extraordinary life. A life where your thoughts aren't just fleeting ideas, but the very genesis of your becoming. The future you desire is not out there. It is waiting to be conceived within you.